Welcome to Fusion Tonight. Tonight, we're going to laugh a little bit, we'll share our prayers, we'll help some folks with our missions offering, and we'll walk the walk with our guest, Justin Greuel. Now, scream and yell and jump up and down for a really swell guy, our host, Mr. Jon Cooper.
Woo. Welcome to Fusion Tonight. I'm your host, Jon Cooper. How are we doing tonight? Great. We have a fantastic show for you tonight. I'm so excited. I haven't done this in a long time, but before we get into the show, we got to talk about what's going on in the news, guys. There's some things happening in the news. I don't know if you saw this. Brett Favre, Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre, is in a lot of trouble after an investigation revealed he was part of a scheme to take money intended for welfare recipients to fund a volleyball stadium at his daughter's school. Brett Favre famously played for the Packers, the Jets, and the Vikings, and after all this time, it turns out he was a Steeler at heart. If you're an adult, I'm going to say 18 or older, you can see me after the show. I'll tell you the not church punchline for that setup. Got to be 18 or older, though. Very serious about that. This is another wild story, though. Another true but wild story. The COO of Beyond Meats, the vegan food company, was arrested after a road rage incident led him to biting the nose of another man. Yeah. It's a new menu item they're calling Beyond Boogers. And finally, and in another incredibly true story, these are all true news stories, you can look them up after the show, Eminem, rap artist Eminem, has topped the Christian Billboard charts after he released a new faith-based song. That's insane. Yeah, that's just crazy. I almost didn't have a punchline. That's so crazy. But you know, I thought about it. If Matthew can be a hated tax collector and become a disciple, then Eminem can transform from a dirty rapper to a dirty rapper that has one Christian song. Chris, we rehearsed this and you told me that was the one.
I did.
You told me that was the punchline. You told me that was the closer. Oh. It is going to be so awkward when like a really good Christian family is like, I like this song. Let's go check a concert, and they find out all the other songs he writes. That's going to be... It's really shady. It's really shady in here, guys. Yeah. I'm really nervous. I don't know if I can finish the show. I've got vomit on my sweater already. This is insane. Can't handle it. Guys, we have a fantastic show. He is too gruel for school, but he's not too cool for service. Justin Greuel is our guest on the show tonight. So let's start the show and learn about God. I'm going to be mad the whole show that punchline didn't work. I'm so mad at you, Chris. I'm seething. I am seething back here. I'm going to write a diss track about you. I'm so mad. We have a fantastic show, but before we get into the meat and potatoes, we have a segment here at Fusion that we like to call our open mic time. And if you're more familiar with our traditional worship, this looks a lot like Joys and Concerns, because that's exactly what it is. We just named it different, because why not? So this is your chance to lift up and share anything on your heart and your mind that we can pray about, that we can be about, and that we can talk about. So with that, does anyone have anything that they would like to lift up that we can pray about together? Yes, absolutely. The hurricane has touched landfall in Florida, and if you've seen any videos or images, it is pretty scary down there. So they've been working really hard to try to evacuate people, and prayers that they continue to get people out, and prayers that people rush in when it's over to help rebuild. Yes?
I would play for you, Daddy.
Oh, thanks, buddy. It's my son Avery wants to pray for me. Thanks, buddy. Hayden.
So tomorrow, I'm going to, not tomorrow, on Friday, I have a field trip to the Allen College for Dan Wesley Health Workers.
Awesome. Well, prayers for you, safe travels, and I hope it's a great trip, and I hope you learn a lot. Jonathan.
Tomorrow is our third football game against, we play Carver, and we won our football game against Plunger like a week ago.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the dub, and praying for another win, and praying for safety for all of your players and your opponents. Yeah.
So one more thing, if we win, we're first in Metro. So
Nice. All right, we'll get it done. All right, we'll get it done. Yeah, Violet.
Evidently, the day I'm gone, because yesterday I had a cold. That's the day in science where we got to play with fire.
Oh, no. The one day you're on. Well, you always bring the fire, Violet, so you'll bring the fire back. Yeah.
Somebody in our school at home team and I got stabbed with a pencil 4 times.
Oh, yikes.
And it happened 2 days in a row.
Well, prayers. Wow. So prayers for that student that they heal well, and prayers for other students and teachers to hopefully get that under control so nobody else feels unsafe at school. All right, and if there's no one else, I want to give a thank you to Lauren Schofield for hosting last week. I mentioned the week before, I was gone last week. My grandfather passed away, and so I made a trip down to Amarillo, Texas to be with family, which was really healing and good for me. So I appreciate being able to step away from this and to be with family. We were fortunate, timing worked out. We were able to have a little gravesite service. The family asked me to speak, so being able to say the words and put them to final rest was incredible. So thank you all for that, and I ask for prayers for myself as I continue to deal with it, and prayers for all my family that are dealing with this new normal as well. So with that, if you'll please bow your heads and join me in a time of prayer. Gracious and Holy Father, how blessed are we that no matter what is going on outside of these walls, we have the opportunity to come gather and to worship you and to learn about you and to be in your presence and to be in your grace and to take all of these things that we carry and leave them at your feet so that we can feel a little bit lighter, we can feel a little bit more hopeful, we can feel a little bit more grateful and appreciative of all the opportunities we have to get to know you and to serve you and to just ultimately be loved by you, forgiven by you, and welcomed by you through everything. Lord, we've lifted up a lot of prayers tonight. We've lifted up joyous prayers. We've lifted up not so joyous prayers. Dealing with loss, dealing with violence at school, dealing with the struggles and the fun and the glory of competing in athletics, feeling like we're missing out on things happening with our friends at school. There's just so many things that happen day to day, and we never know. We never know what our future holds, but we know, Lord, that it is you that holds our future. So we ask that you give us peace of mind. We ask that you let us relax our shoulders tonight and just sit back, enjoy the fact that we have a wonderful guest on the show tonight to talk about service and how important that is in our journey as Christians, and how serving others serves you and also serves our soul in a way that lifts us up and makes us feel like we are becoming the people that you would have us become. So Lord, we bring all of this to you tonight in your name, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. And we do so with the prayer that Jesus taught us, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. All right, we now go into our time of offering. We don't do a traditional pass the plate. Instead, we have 2 jars at each doorway. So this is your chance. There will be a video showing you where all of your money is going. So this is your chance to stand up, to stretch out, and to give as your hearts call you to give. This is your time for offering.
Millions of people around the world lack access to safe drinking water. This exposes them to infection and disease, and it causes developmental delays in children. Often the most available source of water is right at the surface, in rivers, in ponds, or in shallow wells, but that water is usually contaminated. Safe Water International Ministries is a faith-based organization which distributes a simple chlorine-producing unit that allows communities to generate chlorine from the simple elements of salt and water through an electrolysis process. This chlorine can then be used to disinfect water for safe drinking. A kit, including the electrolysis unit, storage containers, and a testing unit, can be provided to a community in need for only about $100. It only takes a few drops of chlorine to make a gallon of water safe from harmful bacteria, and that can make a real life and death difference. Safe Water International Ministries makes that difference through a focus on safe drinking water and sharing the living water of Jesus Christ. Safe Water International Ministries is our September Mission of the Month.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our main event. He just completed his term as the chair of our finance committee, but you can see him around church doing so much, mostly because his wife makes him. Please give it up for Justin Greuel.
And that statement's only partly true about my wife making me do it all.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be on Fusion tonight, which I know Katie played a big part in tying you into this. But when we were outlining the season, when we're looking at the theme of following along with the Walk series, and we got to service, we've had several people on the show that could have talked about it, but they've been here a lot of times. And I was like, God, we have never had Justin on Fusion. And we just thought this is an opportunity to get you some FaceTime, get your nose out of the math and out here. So thank you for agreeing to do this. For those that don't know, can you just talk about who you are, who you're married to, who your kids are, kind of how long you've been members of First United?
So most of you probably know my better half, and that is absolutely true in every sense of it. Katie Gruel. She is one of our art directors here at the church and helps a lot with our outreach and design work for a lot of the publications for the church itself. So we've been married for, over 20 years now, and have 2 kids, Owen and Tula, and have been members here at First United Methodist for, about as long as we've lived here in Cedar Falls. Almost coming up on about 6 years next month. As John mentioned, in the time that I've been here at the church, I just sort of finished up a term as chair of the finance committee this past December. I think that was about a 3-year stint on that committee, and definitely a learning experience, enjoyable experience in many respects. But yeah, we've, like I said, been living here in Cedar Falls for about 6 years. We've had a lot of moves over our, I speak as us, the family. We've had a lot of moves in our time together. This is probably, I think, location number 5 that we've lived in since graduating college. Katie and I are both originally from Tennessee. I don't know if you can detect any hints of Southern accents or
Not in
Mostly,
you, but definitely in Katie.
yeah, Katie's retained hers better than I have. So, but yeah, and so we've been members of a few different Methodist churches as we've kind of moved around to different parts of the country, living in North Carolina, originally from Tennessee, living in North Carolina first in a couple of places, and then up to the Washington, D.C. and Maryland area, and then over to Michigan. And then over here now in Iowa, and hope to be here for a while to come.
Yeah, we hope so as well. So you did finance chair, and I won't ask you to describe what that was like, because I've been in, our admin council meetings with you, and it's not very fun. That's a good chance to look at Facebook under the table when you're going over numbers. But you've served on more committees than just, well, not more committees, but you've served in more ways than just finance.
Correct.
There is a lot you do not with the church. Habitat for Humanity is one. Mm-hmm. The food bank is one. Talk about how you kind of got into some of those opportunities and what called you to serve some of those organizations.
Sure. I mean, a lot of it's been just sort of a continuum in my life. I think the way I was sort of raised by my parents, that you're in service to others around you and always giving back. And then when I was able to strike out on my own, leaving home, it was something I always felt called to do. After college, spent a lot of time in our first church volunteering with our local Boy Scouts troop and supporting them on a variety of adventures. Led a Sunday school class that we had on a regular basis. Led some disciple Bible study courses with some of our congregation at church. Volunteering with Habitat for Humanity early on, and then just kind of growing that as moved around to different churches and trying to connect with the different missions that the churches are active in, and just finding as an opportunity. For me, it's just a way of living out my faith. There's as I've kind of, I'd say, grown in my faith over the years. Part of it is I feel like spending time reading the Bible, studying the Bible, just kind of learning more about my faith, but finding a way to kind of move beyond just sort of learning and putting it into practice and actively living that out on a daily basis.
Absolutely. I got to say, like, one thing I genuinely appreciate about you is you carry yourself so professionally at all times. Like, just for that,
thank you. You're too kind.
Yeah, like you do own like pajamas or like gym shorts, right? Like, this isn't you 24/7. Like,
no,
you do.
No.
You do let your hair down.
I do let my hair down. I pull my socks up. If you see my Homer Simpson socks from time to time, my unprofessional side comes out. My kids like to joke. We have some friends in Australia who had sent me some pajamas one year, and they never thought I would actually wear them around the house, but I do. And they're shorts, matching shorts, and a pajama top. And the top says, "I like my coffee on the dark side," and it's got a picture of Darth Vader on it. I have my home repertoire as well. So
that's good. Well, because anytime we talk, you're so well thought out, and I was like, there's no way, like, you're a married guy. We know what it's like being married. We get into fights. So there's no way to, like, well, I just want to let you know, honey, that
we do.
You and your wife. I know you and Katie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just like, but there's times I imagine you're like, well, Katie, I understand what you're saying. I think you're bringing, it's like, like there's no way you can't. You're like a machine. I love it. I love it. But I'm sidetracking because that's what I do. Because I have ADHD, which is why my wife fights with me, and I don't stay focused. You've done a lot of different things in service, which means you've had a lot of experiences. Is there any one specific or couple of specific that were just super memorable that really just stuck with you as a person?
Yeah, there's been a couple. Personally, I love to do things with my hands. Most of my job, I work for John Deere in regulatory compliance of all things. It's probably the most boring sounding job to most people. Being a tax man. So most of my job on a daily basis is sedentary. I'm sitting at a desk, in meetings, on phone calls, reading regulations and evaluating.
So you're like a
things
professional Karen.
Yeah, something like that.
You can't do that.
But on my other side, I do have a little creative streak in me, and I like making things with my hands. And for me, I guess sort of being in service is sometimes being able to connect with those own gifts that you feel like you have and be able to use them in ways that benefit others. And so in that respect, serving Habitat for Humanity, helping to build homes for people, with people, has been a really rewarding experience. Especially, one of the things I really like about Habitat is that you get to work alongside the future homeowners and get to hear their stories, kind of what they're working towards, their dreams and aspirations about the future, and then just finding that there's a way for you to connect with them and play a role in helping to build their dreams. So that's something that always kind of take away as a memorable experience. It allows me to do something with my hands and satisfy an urge that I have, but also to connect with others and help others out. And so that's always been kind of a standout experience. And another thing about me, I love the outdoors. I'm really big into, I have my interests outweigh my time to be able to go do these things anymore. But I love backpacking and hiking and mountain biking and things like that. And so when I used to volunteer with the Boy Scouts, our local troop at our church in Asheville, North Carolina, take them out on backpacking trips all the time, or we go out and do canoeing trips and camping trips. And there was probably one that's it's a memorable experience, but maybe not in such a good way. We did a canoeing trip one time with the Scouts to a place called the Great Dismal Swamp in North Carolina. And most people think, why would you ever want to go canoeing and camping in a swamp of all places? Beautiful place, but when you arrive at the ranger station for this place, the first thing that stands out is they've got this little wooden contraption on the front of the ranger station that's called the Mosquito Meter. And luckily for us on that trip, it was on about the medium to low threshold. But the mosquitoes were still quite thick. So camping out overnight in the woods with a bunch of scouts and getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. And when you're camping out, there's other things you must do in the woods. I won't go into details, but and having mosquitoes for company while you're doing those things is not pleasant. But
oh no. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
When I get bit by mosquitoes, I get really huge domes and bad reactions, and I'm just like, oh God. No, that sounds terrible. I will stay inside. I will stay inside forever. So you kind of you have a memorable moment, maybe mosquitoes while you poop, kind of a yikes moment.
You said it.
Dear God, please create a halo around me while my pants are down.
Not enough bug spray in the world.
No. Goodness. But that's part of the life of service, is you're going to have times where things are smooth, things go well, and you're going to have times where you're like, well, at least God loves me because this is really hard. When you're pushing through times like that where it's like, man, this is really hard. Why did I sign up for this? What is your why? When you're out there, what drives you to push through even, booty bites out in the woods? What drives you to say, I'm going to see this through, I'm going to stick this out? What's your why? What motivates you?
Well, regarding booty bites, at that point, when you realize you're getting those, you realize, well, I've got 5 miles, I've got to canoe back, so you have no choice. But that's what gets you through it. So perseverance in some cases. But more seriously, I think for me, there's a couple of things. One is just sort of the sense of satisfaction that I derive from doing these things. It's not necessarily, kind of reflecting back on the sermon from this past Sunday's service, and I think Pastor Karen put it in really good terms. It's not. There's a sense of duty for living in service, but there's also it's more than that. It's sort of an opportunity to sort of shine and reflect the purpose for which we were built. I won't say it as well as Karen was able to say it, but this is, what God built us for is to be in service to one another, and I think it's how it's when we shine at our brightest, and I think it's because it just hits all the right connection points. And I know there are times where I've been out doing different types of service where I've never felt better. I don't know how to put it into real concrete terms, but it just feels right. It just feels good, and it's not because I'm thinking about, oh, hey, I'm building up credits for heaven here, and I'm gonna buy my way into heaven with this experience. But it's just more because it just feels right. It's analogy I was sort of thinking about. It's like being this primo athlete who's trained for years and years, and they're in the best shape of their life, and they're going out and they're running their race. It's what they were it's what they've trained to do. It's what they're built to do, and it works. It works, and it just feels good. So that's, I think for me, that's one part of it. I think one of the other things that I've sort of seen too is being a dad. Congratulations to you, and you got a good kid up there. Praying for you. One thing I've noticed is I'd say the mark that it leaves on my kids. They'll ask me sometimes on the weekends, like, well, Dad, you've been working all week. Where are you heading off to now? And I was like, well, I'm going to do this habitat project or something. And they're like, well, why are you going to do that? And so I kind of talk with them about the experience and how it's, I'm giving up my time to kind of help out others, and just sort of seeing the response, the reaction that I get from them, and how, sometimes when I'm either not around or when I am around, hearing them talk about that to other people. It's just amazing to me to see how they take notice of those sort of things. And there's been times where we've gone to the food bank, and I'll bring the kids with, just because I want them to have that experience as well, and then see them get into it and just really enjoy it, and sort of understanding the reasons why, but not completely, but having a good time. So it's great to see how it becomes contagious.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think.
Absolutely. Well, Justin, I thank you so much for being on the show, and Karen did do it better, but she's paid to do it better.
She did. I can't compete.
But that was still fantastic from you as well. Because I love that you touched base on, we're not building credits into heaven with our works. Our salvation is not based on our works. It's based on our faith alone. And our works is a part of that faith in the sense that when we understand and believe and trust God, and we understand what we're built to do, and we accept that love from Him, and we reciprocate that love by, as you said, shining a light on that, there's nothing better in the world than that. So, Justin, thank you for being a man of service. Thank you for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Justin Greuel.
Thanks for having me, Jon. Well said.
And that is our show for the night. So, thank you all for being here. We have gathered. I hope we've grown, and now it is time for us to go and be Christ for one another together. We'll see you next week. Have a good night. Excellent job. No, that was perfect. Like I said, I keep my eye on the clock, and I think hey, buddy. Thanks for praying for me. I almost got choked up when he did that.